Okay, do it again. Okay. Till he runs out of breath. There, he's got it. Okay. Aren't you
All
gonna
right,
get your tech wet or something?
I guess I'll
Or is
be
that
normal now.
okay? That's fiber optic stuff, is it?
Um, no, there's water everywhere.
Oh, okay. So you're getting your tech all wet.
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't give a fuck.
everything's
Oh,
fucked
wow.
now.
That wasn't supposed to happen.
Mm. Yeah. Well, he shocked himself.
No, no, I didn't.
Hmm.
That doesn't make any sense.
He broke
Mm.
it.
You got it wet. That's what happened.
It's fine.
There
Do 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 do. It is fine because
Because
video.
what? No. There you
Look at
go.
that. It's fine. Nobody gives a
Okay.
shit.
Okay.
Camera doesn't give a shit.
Oh
Camera
yeah,
hates me.
there is no number for this. I guess you do what you want for the beginning.
Um, uh, Rest in peace to a great. This week we're talking about
78.
David Lynch.
Yes, that's what we were doing. Emergency episode, I guess. I don't know, but we're looking at the donut, not the hole today, right? So checking out. Well, Luke was like, we should do a David Lynch, so I just responded, what, within 10 seconds? I'm a Holland Drive. So,
You kind of both did
yeah.
Yeah.
pretty instantly.
I mean, if you, it seems his totemicest works are probably this or Blue Velvet, depending on what mood you're in, you know?
Mm.
I
Well,
think, well, Blue Velvet is, I think, his best work, but this is kind of his most accessible work that is a good representation of what he does.
Yeah, because
I'm
you,
I would argue Blue Velvet is a lot more accessible than this.
Like, you could say that. Like,
in,
Blue Velvet has more of like the grisly violence and
That's
stuff.
true. It also has like a linear set of events that happen.
That's true.
there we go. But yes, it's Films and Filth. We're off the list today for reasons we just described. Mark, you also mentioned that The Elephant Man and The Straight Story are actually slightly higher rated.
Yeah, Elephant Man. I think Elephant Man is highest and Straight Story was lowest, or something like
Straight
that,
Story,
or vice versa.
Dune was lowest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dune is
Dune's
lowest.
lowest.
But you
Straight
guys
Story
have
was
done
second
Dune.
highest. Yeah.
That's right.
Also, we don't want to talk about his failings on a day like this.
Well, it was something you didn't want to do anyway.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like,
yeah. Right. It's not talking about Dune is not the way to talk about David Lynch, unfortunately. Even though I love Dune.
I had a dream about my Straight Story Blu-ray though. I just realized that bringing it up. And it's really pointless. It's just that I had dropped it and it's in this cool black Blu-ray case. And then in my dream, the black Blu-ray case had gotten warped. But that didn't happen. It's fine. It's still in its packaging actually, because I haven't watched it yet.
yeah, I actually haven't watched the Straight Story
I
yet.
saw it in the theaters when it came out, but I haven't seen it in the past 20 years, you know? Plus.
I've got a little catching up to do, but
Um,
yeah, hopefully we don't have another person die while we're doing this podcast who so deserves to be on the good list.
mm,
Hmm.
Yeah, because like I don't know about you guys, but on social media, I've never seen such an outpouring of like sadness about somebody dying, like
yeah, I
Probably
guess
not
this
since
is,
publicly at all.
Bowie.
yeah, Bowie and Prince, right?
Yeah,
Prince got it
Bowie
too,
and
right?
Prince. But I this well maybe it feels bigger because um music is so subjective. Like there are probably plenty of people who just don't like Prince and
I
don't like
think
Bowie.
Or
David
people don't
Lynch
like
movies are
Lynch.
pretty subjective, to be fair, Mark. It's just maybe it's just the circles you're in.
Yeah, it's
Also,
actually possible.
yeah, when Prince and Bowie died, it was also like both of those guys really seemed like they might have future albums, right? Whereas
Well,
David
but
Lynch,
Bowie had an album 3 days before he passed away, right?
right,
So,
right. He timed it pretty well. But I mean, people, even when that came out for that
Deliberate.
weekend, because I've got it the day it came out, and that weekend it was like, oh, what will he do next? And then we found out by Monday what he was going to do
yeah,
next,
the,
you know?
the the album transformed between listening to it on the Friday and listening to it on the Monday.
But my first two
Um,
listens was while Bowie, at least we thought Bowie was still alive. Who knows
Hmm.
temporally what was going on at that time? But Lynch, I mean, people had pretty much been like, yeah, it's been wrapped up. His last feature film was Inland Empire in 2004 2004. The Return is 2017. You know, he did like
Hmm.
short films and stuff here, but and he also said like, "Hey, I'm not leaving my house anymore," which does lead to the not conspiracy theory, but just thought, he had emphysema, L.A. fires. There might be a connection there.
Um, Allegedly, he sat down to meditate and then didn't get back up, which is, I
That sounds
mean,
about right.
that's the best way to go, probably. I don't think I was worried that he was like, your house is on fire, quick, let's get out of here, and then he like just dies from smoke inhalations, but that
Hmm.
wasn't the
Okay.
Yeah,
case.
Well.
initially that's what I'd heard was that he'd had to move and didn't have his oxygen, but
Mm-mm.
I
apparently
mean,
maybe it turns out that is not the case. I don't
I
know.
mean that has happened to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's never discount like the effects of, a major catastrophic event.
Right.
Like officially, MF Doom didn't die from COVID, but he was in a London hospital, like not getting the attention he needed in the middle of like
Right,
December
because
2020.
yep.
So yeah, I blame COVID for that
Mhm.
personally.
Anyway, my
But
point
anyway,
being that David Lynch, it did very much feel like his career for the past 5 or 6 years. I think everyone's kind of had the feeling like that is a completed career, you know? I mean, he's
Mm.
painting, making furniture, which, hey, that's what you
was
do if you're kind of retired, not quite busy, but technically kind of retired.
he was doing the weather for several years, I think until pretty recently, and he seemed to really like doing that, and that's kind of like similar to how we're doing podcasts, I guess, but
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
lower effort than that.
Few
But
people tuned in.
yeah, but he started with short films and then continued to do short films. Like I wasn't aware of this, but he made a PlayStation 2 ad. Do you know about
Oh
this,
yeah, I
Luke?
am vaguely aware of this. Yeah,
It is weird.
of
What
course.
what happens in the PlayStation 2 ad?
It's like a guy is in a like
In
a
a room
portal
with
and
an
there's
entity.
doorways. Yeah, and stuff keeps coming out at him and talking to him.
Okay, that sounds like fun. I can go with
I
that.
don't think it shows a PlayStation or any games.
Well,
Yeah,
if you hire David Lynch to do your ad, he's basically, I'm going to do what I want,
Yeah,
which is what you get, and that's what you why you
that's
ordered
why
him.
they
Why
hired him. Like, you don't
that's
hire
why
him
you hired
unless
him.
you're the idiots who hired him for Dune.
yeah. But there is absolutely Dune could have been great. I mean, he could have made a good Dune with the right environment, I guess. It's like
Hmm.
maybe if he tried to make it in 2015 and been able to really do whatever he wanted to with it. But
I'll
it's
keep
like,
coming in as the Dune defender. I mean, you do again. You got to read the book first, which is a criticism against that movie. But I like Luke when we did it a few years ago. I watched that like longer cut, which really does eat it, and
Hmm.
not just because the extra stuff is janky or weird, but because all the editing rhythms are thrown off. So when I watched
Hmm.
the theatrical cut, I was like, okay, now I can at least feel like a David Lynch rhythm to this, which in that extended cut's kind of missing. Um, As far as Mulholland Drive, I actually watched this one like a month and a half ago. So, but I did my due diligence. I put it on again, which I have
So
seen this movie like,
prior to watching this film, I'd seen Dune because I'm a Dune fan, and I watched Blue Velvet to listen along to another podcast. And that's basically my Lynch. Um, I've enjoyed a lot of things which other people have described as being like Twin Peaks-esque or David Lynch-esque, but I haven't actually explored that much of his oeuvre. Um, like me and Mercy have been threatening to watch Twin Peaks for a while, and I guess we're gonna have to now. Um, and like even watching this film for this podcast, it's a film that I feel like watching it once, I haven't watched it.
it's kind of the case.
yeah. I mean, the thing is, this one has like, I mean, you can look at internet articles that, very long ones that kind of break down the film. And weirdly, when I watch it now, I actually do see like kind of a chronological order and sense to things. If you want one that really goes off the rails as far as like logic, that's Lost Highway, or Inland Empire, where, and even in Inland Empire, you can follow a little bit. It tends to just get really distracted for a while and then come back, but it's a really long movie.
Hmm.
Lost Highway just don't make any damn sense, but it's great. That actually is kind of like my favorite, I think.
Yeah, Lost Highway is kind of the only film of his that I wasn't crazy about when it came out, specifically because it felt so confusing. And this is like, it felt to me like at the time like that was the warm up to him doing this, and this is the good version. But I didn't know at the time that this was like a failed TV pilot that he tacked a bunch of stuff onto, which that makes a lot more sense for it being coherent because he basically had the beginning of a story and then had to put an ending on it. So it's like there wasn't much room for him to mess around.
Yeah, basically once you start seeing boobies, that's when we've switched from the TV to the movie version. Like most of the movie stuff is tacked on at the end. And I think like the Winkies parts added in for the movie or something. And there's a couple set sequences, but then like the dude like murdering everyone in office is very kind of like weird, goofy Lynch television, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, that felt quite like Coen Brothers almost.
Yeah, really.
I don't
Well,
know
you
how
get
how
stuff like
common
that in
that.
Twin
I guess
Peaks,
yeah,
but yeah.
even Blue Velvet kind of has a lot of people trying to be cool criminals who are not up to it.
The original version of this actually was going to be Twin Peaks connected. Betty was going to be Audrey Horne going to uh Hollywood from Twin Peaks.
Hmm.
I've seen David Lynch himself has disputed that, so it seems like kind of
Might have been an executive note or something that he
yeah,
didn't
it's
like.
well he said something like you thought about it for 10 whole minutes. That might be an exaggeration because you could totally fit this in. Like it's supposed to be in between Twin Peaks season 1 or 2. You fit this in as a Twin Peaks spinoff easily.
But I'm glad it's not. And I'm glad it's a movie too. I don't really, I mean, yeah, it worked out in the end, you know? Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
It depends on everyone's opinions on this. I guess Mark and I are already pretty set in our ways. But yeah, Luke, give us your viewing experience.
Yeah, I did. Like people often describe stuff as dreamlike, but this actually was dreamlike in that it made emotional sense without making logical sense. Like I felt like I watched a film and went on a whole journey, even though I couldn't quite tell you what happened. And like I was compelled by everything I was seeing, but at the same time, I was often like I didn't sit there feeling confused, but it was confusing.
I get what you're saying. I actually I did, I was into Lynch enough in 2000, 2001. What was the release date? Whatever it was.
Hmm.
Um,
Yep. One.
one. Okay. Because it was kind of hard to find in Atlanta. I guess because he done Lost Highway, which generally got ignored. That one kind of people started liking later. The Straight
Hmm.
Story did okay, but it didn't, it was like a kind of different thing. So,
I
uh,
have heard a lot of people saying don't sleep on straight stories, so
Yeah,
it's,
I've heard that too.
I guess it is worth
it's
checking out.
oh, it is. It's really good. It's just like it's weird in that it doesn't have Lynchian stuff,
Hmm.
but it's good. So that's the thing about it. It's like if I'm in the mood for a Lynch film, The Straight Story is not the right movie, but it's good. So it's just a weird. Like he didn't write that one. He was going to produce that one, and then was like, I think I want to direct this, and people were like, really, what? And yeah, so this was kind of like this is where his reputation really came back. Straight Story gave him director reputation. This brought the Lynch thing back. But I remember having to drive up into like Marietta or something to see it when it came out of Atlanta. Like it just didn't play at many places. And I
Um,
went with Jonathan, who was on the earlier version of this podcast once, and of course Mark knows. And yeah, he hated the hell out of this movie. It's another one where he was almost angry that I dragged him into it, like 2001. So he doesn't like trippy movies, I guess, mind-bending movies like this.
I remember seeing this at Phipps Plaza, so I don't know why you thought that it was.
Maybe we were going to
It
a
may have
restaurant
been.
out there or something.
It's possible that I'm remembering that it might have been something like it opened at a couple of theaters and then it got like a little wider release like a month later or something like that.
That might have been it, and I know I jumped on it like ASAP
Yeah.
because I was already down for this stuff back then. I mean, as like that's right in that's university. That's when you're gonna run out and see a David Lynch film for sure,
Hmm.
or at least in my
Yeah,
case.
it's fun. Yeah, it's funny because this might have been the first Lynch film I saw in the theater first run, which is kind of funny because it's kind of
Yeah, I
one
saw
of his
Lost
last
Highway.
films.
I'd seen Lost Highway and Straight Story, but not anything before that. Because well, you're definitely too young for a Lynch film, probably if you're actually underage. In the theater at least. But
But
actually,
also
Yeah.
like
I'd seen Blue Velvet on video.
there are there are films which I was underage for and loved watching, as I famously bang on about, but I don't think I would have liked Lynch films when I was too young to watch them. Like it's not like it's just action and violence and titties wall to wall. Like I would have found them unpleasant and disturbing, I think, if I'd seen them as a kid.
See, Blue Velvet, I remember us liking a little bit, probably just because, Frank
It's a
Booth
little
is just
bit
so
torrid,
off
yeah.
the. It's a little more exploitative feeling, I guess. Like, and I don't mean that in an insulting way. There's that it feels. This one's a little slicker. I mean, it's still got like disturbing stuff, but Blue Velvet's a little grittier, you know?
Blue Velvet feels like it was designed to be the thing that you find at the video store that you tell all your friends about, which I
Yes.
guess that is
It,
exploitation, right?
yeah, yeah, it was a late
um,
80s version of that. Well, it also, I guess, has a lot of other things to think about. So, I
yeah,
mean, Psycho,
but
you can have good exploitation, right?
Mhm.
Hitchcock was like deliberately making an exploitation film.
but also, I mean, part of how I found Blue Velvet was like music I listened to kept referencing it. Like or Anthrax would sample, you know, Dennis Hopper yelling on their like rap songs and stuff. um
That
yeah,
helps. Yeah. I mean,
I mean the first Lynch I saw was definitely Dune on TV. Like just because it would just randomly show on TV and I would watch bits of it and be like, what the fuck is this? Why does everyone have like panels on them and stuff? Why is Picard have long hair?
yeah, yeah, I remember seeing this on HBO as I said, my aunt had HBO, so when we were on vacation, I'd see little bits of Dune and be very like, what the hell is this, you know? I don't
Yeah.
think I ever sat down to watch Dune until like I was in my 20s.
Is it
Yeah, I
one of
didn't
those
watch it.
weird cases that we consider Doom his failure, but it's probably the one that's actually been played the most and made the most money?
Yeah, it was his only major budget movie. That's the only one that had a big budget. And
Like how the Street Fighter movie still actually makes Capcom loads of money and they're really happy with it.
yeah, that kind of thing. And well, yeah, I don't know how many loads of money it makes, but it kind of sticks in people's craw because it's
But if
David
it's
Lynch's.
getting played on TV and like
Yeah.
it's presumably still selling DVDs to people who are like, oh, there was another Dune film, I'm curious.
I mean, if Dune
Like
is
I'm
your
sure
worst
it has
movie, you have a pretty
eventually
good
made a bunch of
career.
money.
Yeah. Yeah, if Dune is your worst movie, you did a pretty well career, good career for yourself.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna search by number of votes on IMDb. So Mulholland
Oh,
Drive, 398,000.
okay.
Elephant Man, 268,000. Twin
Mhm.
Peaks, 225,000. Blue Velvet. Dune is at 185,000. So
Those are votes
not as
counted.
many people even have opinions about it. I think like a lot of people have just avoided it.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Well, on Mulholland Drive, I guess we will do
I guess we're
this.
sci-fi people, so we're not quite coming at it from the normal perspective.
Yeah, yeah. If not that I've been to conventions, but if you're a person who might show up at one, I haven't been to one because I live in Japan, but yeah, you
You've
you
been to
might think
Star Trek
about
The
Dune a little
Experience,
more.
though.
That's true, but that's not a convention. That was a ride.
No.
But yeah, I
Um,
didn't see Dune all the way through straight through until like 2018 or something like that. So even
I
as a
don't think I
sci-fi
watched
fan.
it till we did it for a podcast because my parents had warned me away from it as
Yeah.
as big Dune the book heads.
no, right around the time Mulholland Drive came out is probably when I would have watched Dune because I was, getting in all the ones I'd missed.
The other strange thing for me when I watched Mulholland Drive, stars Naomi Watts. I've um I've seen her so many times because I've watched Peter Jackson's King Kong over and over. But this is my first time, I think, seeing her in anything else. So maybe that also added to it feeling like a dream for me, where it's like, wait, but she only says and arrows lines. Why is she saying different lines? And
So wait, so you haven't seen Birdman?
no,
You should
I
watch
know I
it.
should.
It's not on the list, I don't think, but you
And
should
No,
when
it's
watch it
not.
anyway.
if you do get to
You would
Twin
like it.
Peaks: The Return, she's actually one of the better parts of Twin Peaks: The Return, where she just
Ooh.
plays a bizarre wife to a shell of a person.
I do
I have
have. I had a copy of Birdman in its cellophane for years, but never watched it.
Yeah, it's in my Blu-ray Apocalypse pile, but I haven't watched it yet.
no Birdman, no Bergman. That's what the list is all about. No, I think Naomi Watts is incredible. This was my first exposure to her, and part of why I was excited to see Peter Jackson's King Kong was specifically for her and
Nice.
Adrian Brody, who I also really like.
Yeah, and they're both great in it.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I think her follow up, I don't know, it might have even been filmed first, but after it's like she was on 21 grams, I think, and then yeah, the next big hit, I guess, not
Oh,
hit, but the best, yeah, then it's pretty much on to King Kong and stuff. Because
this-
it actually this movie gets to it that the actresses, that both leads are like a little older for Hollywood, right? They're both in their 30s, and this is kind of their breakout performance.
Mm.
I well, for one thing, Naomi Watts uncannily has always looked 10 years younger than she actually is. But
True.
part of the story of this film is that she was just about to give up on acting, and then Nicole Kidman told her to or stick with it. But like after she'd tried out for this film, and then like David Lynch, she met with David Lynch personally, and he was just like, "Yeah, I think this is good. We're gonna work together." And then she like cried uncontrollably, and she was in a bunch of his little fun experiments too from recent years, like I think some of the weather report stuff.
Another weird thing about the movie is, that she would have done this as a TV pilot, hoping to get a TV gig, of course, because it's,
Mm.
hey, I don't know, maybe you get 2 seasons out of a Lynch show, but the movie part, being most of the ending, was shot like 2 years later.
Yeah,
So
that's the
she,
wild thing is that she was just not thinking she was going to make it in Hollywood, waiting for this thing to to not come out and then film a bunch more 2 years later. It's
I think you can find the TV version of this on YouTube. Like it was cut and screened and
yeah.
stuff, but it's
Hmm.
not as good
Well,
by
yeah,
any
it's
means.
just it's a
Leaked.
pilot without going anywhere, so of
Yeah.
course.
It's not like the Twin Peaks movie. I mean, the pilot was also put out as a movie in
Mm.
Europe, and that one they added an ending on to that one to solve the murder in the just in the pilot, right? But I guess they didn't do that with Mulholland Drive though, because it was properly finished as a movie.
Mm.
Here's a story, I guess. So just to take on that challenge, here we go. Betty Elms wins a jitterbug contest in Deep River, Ontario, and arrives in Hollywood to be a star. An established starlet survives an attempted murder, albeit with a case of retrograde amnesia, and ends up in Betty's Hollywood apartment. Director Adam Kesher gets cucked and then bullied into casting the It Girl into his new production. Betty and Rita go on a detective hunt to discover Rita's identity, but all they find is a bloated corpse. They make love and then attend a late night performance at Club Silencio. Afterwards, Betty vanishes and Rita descends into a blue mystery box.
But actually, once Rita has unlocked the box, we discover that Betty actually is Diane. Rita is actually Camilla Rhodes. Adam is Adam, but now he's successful and in love with Camilla. Camilla is also in love with another lady. Diane is sad and alone and decides to put a hit out on Camilla. The hitman hands Diane a blue key, but alas, she is attacked by the elderly couple that Betty was with on the bus and then shoots herself while in bed, right where Betty and Rita found her. Silencio.
Hmm. She's
That
the old
worked.
people line. It worked. I'm
I
sitting
shouldn't have
here
said
thinking
that.
about the old people. She's attacked by the old people. She's
Yeah.
pestered by the old people, right?
Just
Pestered. That's a
I guess they
pestered.
pursued.
didn't. I guess they were just like, they were
Yeah,
just
that,
like,
that's getting pestered, and that's one thing I love where it's like kind of a real shitty special effect. David Lynch is good at like occasionally intentionally putting in shitty special effects.
I absolutely love just the idea that in his films where someone just is like up in someone's personal space screaming at them and like just
You like
doing,
screaming.
yeah, of course. Yeah, man, what a great film. I feel like I picked up more this time than the first time. First two, I saw it twice.
Well, the
So
devil's in the details, and yeah, I've seen this like 6 times or more. Like I said, I watched it like a month ago, so but the devil's in the details, right? What did I think about this past time? Everyone always thinks about what's behind Winkies, of course, right? That sticks in everyone's mind pretty tightly. Badalamenti and his espresso really stuck in my mind this time.
yes, so good.
As just a fantastic scene with was it Dan
Dan
Hedaya?
Hedaya.
Yeah, just being the most psychotic man on the planet. That's fantastic.
I was like, is this Weinstein?
Oh, is
I
that
didn't
what they're
find any
going for?
confirmation. I didn't find any confirmation of that, but I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I mean the thing with this movie is it is kind of like, like in 2001 with the whole "this is a girl," you're like, that's not realistic, and now you're like, that's absolutely realistic. The
Yep.
audition, you're like, oh, that's how the casting couch actually works. Everything's fine and pleasant until it's not, you know?
But how many people have gotten to just shit on Hollywood from I guess it wasn't from within Hollywood because it was started as a TV pilot and then got like $8 million of French money to finish it. So technically it's like a hybrid foreign film.
Yeah, but a lot of his films are around this time. I mean, that's, he had to get the French folks to basically pay at least half his bill for most of from Fire Walk with Me on, I think, because he won Cannes
Hmm.
for Wild at Heart, and after that, the French were like, "Here's some auteur money,"
He
until
won
that.
Best Director at Cannes for this, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah, but yeah, I'm just talking about where he gets
Yeah.
kickstarted with getting a bunch of French film money, and I guess it runs out after Inland Empire is how it works. I don't know. I mean, it's so many directors like Lynch after the mid 2000s just completely stopped making movies. John Waters, and I'm sure I could rack up a few more if I really put my mind to
I
it.
I kind of take that with a grain of salt. Like I feel like maybe just once you get to retirement age, you don't feel like messing with the whole like funding system and I don't know. It's
Yeah,
I've
if you're a Spielberg and you can just walk into the studio and say, I'm making this, and you get the money, then yeah, sure, you make movies for the rest of your life. But if yeah, like you say, if you're still having to beg and borrow and try and get your films made, maybe you do just get to a point where you're like, I'm done. I've made enough.
And then someone's like, "Here's $1 million to do a PlayStation 2 ad," and you're like, "Yes."
Yeah, of course.
well, I mean, yeah, I got kind of tired of you know doing certain things like running a film festival for no money. I got tired of doing that. I mean, like good for anybody who feels like that's worth their time and that's great. But it's like eventually I was like, no, I don't, it's not like eventually get to the point where you're like, nah, I'm not gonna deal with this. Like raising money sounds like the worst imaginable thing.
Oh God, yes. Yeah, that sounds horrible. I mean, one thing that is a fun in a Lynch film that the more you watch, the more you notice is just how much the acting styles all grate against each other. Like in a good way though. Like Ann Miller is coming in from a 40s movie, right? As
One thing I
Coco.
found really interesting was like um Betty is a great actor when she's acting, but extremely unnatural when she's not acting.
Until the final 20 minutes, where
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's
Well, yeah,
too.
when she's not
That
Betty
makes
anymore.
sense. I didn't even think about that.
I
Like
mean,
that
it's
scene she does with the creepy older actor
Yeah,
guy
yeah,
was
yeah.
like that was intense, dude. Like I
Hmm.
can't that was arguably one of the best scenes we've seen in anything for this podcast.
Yeah.
That was like a scene within a dream with a scene within a scene within a dream.
well, within reality, because that's kind of Naomi Watts doing her audition. I mean, she's already got the job, but it's for, this television pilot that may not take off, may or may not kickstart her career. So in a weird way, it actually is her audition at the same time, you know?
But yeah, you could also feel how you could feel like how much she probably is pissed at Hollywood for that. You know what I mean? It's like you can feel that in her entire performance. Like she's just kind of playing someone who's getting kind of just railroaded and and realize it's this weird thing where she realizes what's happening but just refuses to let it get her down until having it let her get, having it get her down as their entire personality in the last 30 minutes of the film. And she said that she wasn't crazy about the role until David Lynch added that other stuff.
I could see
Mm.
that because you're doing the show. It's like, well, let's see where this goes, and that's why Denise Crosby left TNG season one. She got this character. They did nothing with her. She was like, I'm leaving. And then that big blob of gook killed her, right?
Yeah, she got to be a Romulan, which was probably very fun.
Well, yeah, she got to come back once. She was like, crap, I left the show and it became really successful. Oops. And they, kind of let her come and play a little bit, which was nice.
So I'm a little confused here about how Cannes works, but he won the Palme d'Or for Wild at Heart, um, nominated for Fire Walk with Me and The Straight Story, and nominated for Mulholland Drive, but he won Best Director for Mulholland Drive. So I guess Best
I guess
Director
like
is a
Best
different
Picture.
award,
Yeah, maybe like I think Palme d'Or is like Best Picture.
but it's Okay, yeah, that
Because in the
makes sense.
Oscars, it's Best Picture, Best Director, and usually it's the same thing, but every once in a while it's not.
I mean, probably. I don't know if
But
it should be.
not that I'm basing any value, but did this get any Oscars? They give it like a screenplay or something just for to be nice. Let's see.
It
Looks like nothing actually.
There's a bunch of nominations for all of his Academy. Yeah, David Lynch only won an Academy Honorary Award in 2019.
Wait,
So
wait,
at least
Elephant didn't Elephant Man win something? Or maybe as actor.
I don't won the César Award for Best Foreign Film.
No, 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 Elephant Man. He
Yeah,
got the best
it won the
director.
César Award. What do you want, man?
You want a
Are you
best
here
director
to
actor?
besmirch the César Awards?
I'm besmirching the César Awards. Yeah, list of see the Elephant Man has a
I
whole
get
main.
8 nominations
It's got an extra article for
for
list of
Oscars.
accolades received by the Elephant Man. Yeah, okay, okay. He just got a
Yeah,
bunch of noms. Yeah,
it's
I see.
confusing. Yeah, nominations, Academy nominations are in a weird different section. 8 for Elephant Man, 1 for Dune, 1 for Blue Velvet, 1 for Wild at Heart, 1 for Straight Story, 1 for this.
But yeah, this is a
It's
guy that like again is not getting the Academy votes. That's why he's close, but not on in our 8.3 and higher range on IMDb because there's
I
some
mean,
serious haters. People that really like want to scream at him.
I would argue that it's pretty amazing that his stuff gets awards, even nominated for awards. Like that is itself, I guess, just it's just that good. But I feel like his stuff is so weird that it's kind of a minor miracle that people are even willing to give awards to it
Yeah,
or
okay.
nominate it for awards.
Right. Uh, quick, you've just lost your memory. What's your new name? Look around the room.
Mulholland Drive.
Oh, you got the DVD there or something?
I'm just looking at the page.
Oh, no, no, you gotta look around the room. Like you're finding Rita Hayworth, right?
My name's
I,
Lampshade.
I guess I'm chauffeur.
Ron
Sonic,
Lampshade.
Or
Sonic
Cash.
the
I got the
Hedgehog,
There we go.
Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a wild pillow. It looks so 80s, but that would
Yeah, I know.
predate the whole Sonic thing. So, chauffeur. There, I sound like the guy at Cannes. So, there we go. Other weird, just yeah, it's there's so many scenes in this movie you just kind of forget about till you start talking about it. Like Billy Ray Cyrus is in this movie.
He is hilarious in this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd
hit the
forgotten.
that first main sequence where it's just him stumbling through his life falling apart.
But he just kept saying to people like, "You shouldn't treat a lady like that, mister, no matter
Ah,
what she did."
he was
So
he
good.
was my favorite character, and he's just like trying to be nice to the guy he's just cucked.
Just go with it, man.
It's great.
And then that
Like,
tank of a
forget
dude
about
shows
it,
up
man. It's
later.
for the best.
Yeah.
And then later that tank of a guy shows up to I guess
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah. Then he gets whacked out. Yep.
yeah,
Excellent stuff.
punching the lady in the face. That's the thing. There's so many things like Mulholland Drive disturbing movie and Blue Velvet disturbing movie. There's a lot of really funny stuff.
It is always like that. It has to be
Right, right. It does. Yeah, if it's just like
to be
well,
good.
Luke, that's why you really don't like Requiem for a Dream, right? There's just
Yeah, it
nothing.
was
There
it
is no
was like
humor.
It's just miserable.
so in your face, miserable that it ends up being comedic.
Yeah. But this one, this takes some time to smell the roses, and then the roses are plastic roses that squirt water in your face, right? That's how
Yeah.
this rolls.
Well,
Um,
it's like even, David Lynch having passed away last week, people are sharing all kinds of memes of stuff that he said, and it's a lot of it is just hilarious. What was it like? I say Eraserhead is my most spiritual film, and somebody says, "Can you elaborate
Elaborate,
that
and he
on
just
that?" And he
says
says,
no.
"No."
It's one of my favorite clips of video of anyone ever. I love it.
Yeah.
That's almost as good as Brian Wilson's favorite movie. We've talked about that here.
Yeah.
Let's see. Horse Pucky. I like that. That's a phrase you don't hear much anymore. That's Horse Pucky. I like that. Um, and every time I watch this movie, I always check if Lenny James, the casting director that's sitting in, is Carrie Fisher. And every time it's like, no, it's Rita Taggart, who isn't, I mean, the name I know, but Just it's hard for me to accept that that person's not Carrie Fisher for some reason. Is that
Hmm.
weird?
Eh, I mean,
She had a little bit of Carrie Fisher vibes, but it's not like Carrie Fisher was doing these kind of cameos, was she?
Yeah, she was. She showed up in
Okay.
Austin Powers like a year or a few years earlier as the counselor, like the group counselor. So yeah, she'd show up in like weird spots here and there. So but it's like, every time I'm like, I guess I just really wanted to be Carrie Fisher. But Rita Taggart's fine, of course. She does a good job.
so yeah, the cowboy,
Ah,
uh,
yes, more characters. Yeah, see, I didn't
Monty
think about the cowboy
Montgomery,
till you brought it up, and he's not an
weird guy.
actor.
No, he's just David Lynch's friend.
Okay, he works. You know, he's.
Oh, he's great. I mean, he's
That's
another like
probably part of
weird.
why he works.
Yeah.
So I thought a way to get through this, not get through this, but to focus might be to look at David Lynch's clues of the movie, and we can consider them briefly if you want.
Yeah, you might as
Okay.
well.
Okay. Number one, I think number one's pretty clear. I put that in my synopsis. Pay particular attention in the beginning of the film. At least two clues are revealed before the credits. Maybe I only picked up on one. That's the jitterbug competition, right?
Yeah, I guess the opening is kind of dreamlike, and that's yeah. I don't know. I wasn't thinking about clues.
I think that's supposed to set in that, that she's a jitterbugger, even though we don't see her dance or jitterbug. So, um, Luke, you went in on that? Did you pick up on a second clue?
I did. It was my first viewing, so I was not picking up clues in the opening. No, Matthew.
No, it's well, I guess you didn't look at it, which is fine. But okay, number two.
No, I did
Notice.
look at your list, but
Hmm.
like, it's not helpful when I don't know what I'm.
Well, it's a David Lynch list as well, so that's probably not going to be that helpful. Uh, okay, number two, we got notice appearances of the red lampshade, which I have trouble
Hmm.
tracking that for some reason. I guess that's the phone that nobody answers, except it's in her apartment in the end. Is that where did you track the red lampshade?
Did you not send me this list? Because I
I
haven't
did.
seen this
He
list
put it in
before.
the chat, yeah.
Okay.
I
Well, you'll
missed
just
it.
have to respond to it real time then. Red lampshade. Give me your
Okay.
thoughts on the red lampshade, Mark.
I think that the red lampshade represents that when somebody wears a red dress and they stand on a table and then shine a light out from between their legs.
Hmm.
I was
Okay.
I was trying so hard to spot a red lampshade because you sent me that list that I ended up not being able to take in any meaning from it.
You're just keeping an eye out for it
I was
coming.
like, oh
Okay.
look, a red lampshade.
Can you hear the title of the film that Adam Kirscher is auditioning actresses for? Is it mentioned again?
I don't think it is.
I think it's mentioned at the party briefly, but now I'm like forgetting the Sylvia North story. I think in that party you hear someone mention it again, like the party at the end where Kirshner's successful now.
Hmm.
Oop, I clicked in the wrong place.
I'm really bad at this.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Oh well, maybe it's a bad idea. An accident is a terrible event. Notice the location of the accident. That's the name of the movie, right? And
Yeah.
isn't that obvious? Is it? I don't
Well,
think
it's
there's more
also
to it.
it's also the same place that she stops and gets out to go to the party that breaks her heart.
Right, okay. There you go. There's an insight. That's why we're going through this list. Okay.
Oh, I see it now. I thought you were just bragging about how great your DVD was by posting a picture of it.
Oh no,
That's why I
no,
didn't
no,
click
no,
on
no.
it.
I don't have this version. The American version actually didn't come with this
That,
initially, I don't believe.
that's why I ignored what you sent. I didn't know it was like a list of clues. I just
Yeah.
saw like vaguely saw a picture with of like what I thought was the cover of the DVD or something.
Oh no, 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 no. This
Okay,
yeah.
that's why.
Okay.
I did. The thing I sent in the chat was, how close is Mulholland Drive to Sunset Boulevard? And the answer is about 3 miles.
I actually, especially because of the fires, I got a pretty good mindset of LA's geography. Also, I just,
Mhm.
look at Google Maps a lot because I obsessively look at Google Earth and Google Maps. So
Yeah.
um, I just have my head around lots of weird locations. I can find small islands that, have names that you have to think about before you can recall it.
I've never really been to LA and I really want to go, but I don't have a great. I have been looking at fires and was like, Is Mulholland Drive on fire? And I think part of it is.
It was on a little
But
bit of fire, yeah.
but
Um,
Mulholland Drive is also very, very long. It goes east to west.
right. But yeah, I had the chance to go once. I think I mentioned before. I was in San Francisco. We were going to Prescott, Arizona, and we either swing up through Vegas or down through LA, and it was through Vegas because of the aforementioned Star Trek: The Experience. So,
Of course.
I mean, also it's like, hey, I'm in Vegas either, so choose one, right? And one day in Vegas makes more sense than one day in LA, I think.
Hmm.
I
I
mean,
think I think I was gonna go one of those years and I just couldn't decide where to vacation, so I just didn't go anywhere.
oh, okay. What'd you buy?
Synthesizer.
There you go. Okay. Uh, Clue number five, who gives a key and why?
To unlock the box. So
What's
the
the point of
hitman
the
gives her the
box?
key
Right.
to release the tiny people from the bus so they can pester you until you shoot yourself.
Right. Okay, there we go. So the key is the key to death, is what you're saying.
I think I've read some takes on this that it's like that it's something like she invents the beginning of the film, but then the older people from the bus represent like her parents who we never see.
Mm.
They're a little
And
old to
the
be your
whole thing
parents,
is
aren't they?
about like the whole thing is about Hollywood eating her up and then the disappointment that she can't stand to face, which is I don't know, a lot of people. I'd imagine Hollywood, LA, New York, places like that chew up people up and spit them out all the time.
Yeah, sure. That's how again, good thing about Vegas, right? That's what North Vegas is for, according to Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. When you
Yeah.
fucked up enough, you end up in North Vegas, right?
I mean, all you have to do is just do so many drugs that somehow nothing can kill you.
There you go. You're invincible if you when once you're in North Las Vegas.
I mean, you're
Uh,
invincible until you end up like living on um what's his name, Margaritaville's resort, Jimmy Buffett's resort, and you can't speak English anymore.
how about Luke? Did you want to talk about keys or go into number six?
I saw the key and I remembered there was a clue about the key, but it was not especially meaningful to me.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not trying to like leave you out of the conversation, but like you
No,
said,
I
after
know.
one view, it's a little harder to do these, I guess.
I'm also gonna have to like actually lead the conversation in like 5 minutes.
Right. Okay.
Uh,
And Mark and I'll just do the bad reviews on this one then.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
quickly through the other clues. Notice the robe, the ashtray, the coffee cup. I didn't. Did you?
was that Diane wearing it at the end of the film, I think,
Also,
and
I think
smoking?
the ashtray and the coffee cup are in both apartments, I guess implying they're the same person's. But
Rita
like,
spends a lot
it's
of
not
time
like you
not
don't.
wearing the robe,
Yeah.
but yeah, I guess for me, maybe that's the most important clue because that's the one that I didn't even track while watching the movie this time.
Mhm.
Seven. Okay, here's the one that is at least the most interesting question, even though if I don't, I'll just be saying what I'm saying for the answer. But what is felt, realized, and gathered at the Club Silencio?
Love?
There's a whole lot of tears.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of fakeness to it, right?
I think one of my favorite things in the film is when she like passes out and the singing's still happening.
Right, right.
Like
And we
that
just had the
that was kind
trumpet
of
as
in the
well.
zeitgeist. And
Yeah.
that was kind of the zeitgeist at the moment because Milli Vanilli had happened like 3 years before that. But
Luke, how did that one play at your pad?
Um. Oh, I mean, I was watching this one
Oh,
alone. I
you're
wasn't
watching my.
watching it with my.
Oh, okay.
ah,
I was actually kind of curious how she
No,
responded.
she's in Osaka with her sisters. So, um,
So
yeah, it was that was a very interesting scene, but I don't know that I got it, which I could say about most of the film. Again, having seen it just once.
well, that's where the question is interesting. Felt, realized, and gathered. That's it's
Mm.
kind of a weird phrasing, which I guess is the point.
Yeah, I
Felt
think.
felt love. I don't know. I fear more
hmm.
like fear or despondence of the future. Like that. This is definitely the end of the road.
Oh
Like
yeah, and
he,
also the idea that like it's all a recording, like I think it alludes to some part of what we've been seeing up to now not being real.
Hmm.
And that's right after they, sleep together for the first time and right before
Or is it?
it bridges to well, yeah, the first time in the fake
Yeah,
version.
yeah, yeah.
The first time it was really funny that I remember seeing that in the movie theater and everyone busted out laughing when that happened. When they started kissing because I guess nobody expected it at all. It was just,
Well, she did get into
um,
bed naked.
well, yeah, I don't know.
I was
It
watching the
kind of came out of
film
nowhere.
on a train.
You gotta stop making that mistake.
I know. Well, it had been pretty innocent up to that point, and then suddenly it's like, oh, lesbian sex scene, and I'm on the busy rush hour train. We just do it like this.
Might need to
Yeah,
save this for a few minutes. Okay.
No, I don't do
Gather.
that. I mean, I
I
don't
mean
actually care.
that's
Okay.
I
realism.
kept watching.
I've never had a lesbian sex encounter because obvious reasons, but that probably should probably I don't know. People hooking up does come out of nowhere sometimes. So
What's
yeah, I've had straight
realized?
hookups that came out of absolute nowhere. Like, oh, weird. I hadn't planned on doing this.
What do they
Neither had you.
realize at Club Silencio? What is realized?
Um,
I feel
that
something disturbing is realized. The end of reality or disreality, maybe.
Hmm.
Realizing it's a
disturbance,
dream. Maybe
divorce.
that's where she goes a bit lucid and realizes it's a dream. Because if you're having a nice dream, you realize it's a dream. You can play it out a little bit, but it's not quite as fun because you now realize that you're just artificially dragging it along.
Do you feel like this kind of maybe the events in most of the first part of the film occur like between the time that she contracts the hitman and then shoots herself, or like maybe right before she shoots herself, or something like that? I always kind of wondered that.
I initially chose to interpret it as none of it was a dream, and she was like she tried to have the other person killed. She'd lost her memory, and then she's um like she decided to like, oh, I can just get her back by not telling her who she is. Like it's a movie, right? Something that ridiculous could just be happening. And she really does like, oh, I gave my girlfriend amnesia by accident, so I'm gonna keep her here.
I mean, it's not that weird for people from your past to show up in your dream in very bizarre, different,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I know.
personas. So,
But like it's fun to imagine a version where none of it's a dream and she's like actually playing a role and she actually has amnesia and she's keeping her around.
I don't remember
So
what the description was, the explanation, but I do remember someone kind of mentioning, "Oh, I think the end of the movie is a dream and the rest of it's reality," which I don't like that, but yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, people even go that way, kind of flip it around. Maybe they're just being
Well, I mean, there
contrary.
there is no explanation, right? And people have said in interviews and stuff like David Lynch liked the idea that you could just interpret it however you want. He doesn't want to give you an answer.
No, that's called being an artist. I mean, his main jam was wanting to paint, and it just turned out that he painted well in motion.
Anyway, you can imagine, you can dream what Luke said for the rest of the podcast because I gotta go get holes drilled in my skull.
Okay, have
all
fun with the
right,
holes.
have fun. Don't let
Bed
tiny
bugs
people
bite.
run at you
Don't let the
while it's
old people
happening.
bite, the tiny old people. Laters.
Yeah, later.
Um, well, what's gathered at the club? I guess that's the box. I mean,
Uh,
I'm being real literal
what
there.
you've
So,
already got? We've already said gathered bunch.
okay, then let's move on to
We've
the.
been on gathered for a while. For It's
Okay,
a third of a number.
I thought that was
Did talent
realized.
alone help Camilla? Nope.
Well, no, obviously we have casting couches going on here. We have the system, the man jumping in and saying this is the girl, right?
Yep.
Which I did was kind of a prescient thing. I mean, there's movies around this time just kind of showing like because like people had heard the casting couch, but you didn't like put in movies much. I feel like unless it was like a joke or something. Where this is
You
like kind of
would.
the not jokey version.
But yeah, it's like Weinstein is happening at this time, and like think about how afraid people were to go against that dude, and that dude was straight up like attacking people.
Yeah,
You know,
wag the
it's like,
dog, like how you can manipulate the media to just tell people whatever the hell you want. I mean, go have a
yeah,
look at the three major news sources and see how different the news is now, you know?
well,
Depending on where you look. Um, but so that seems, is that an obvious question? That seems like an obvious one. Some of these unlock faster than others, I guess.
yeah. Note
Okay.
the occurrences surrounding the man behind Winkies. When he first showed up, I thought it was Bigfoot.
That's actually a woman playing that character
Oh,
as well. I don't know
I
why it
also I
says.
also
I
thought it
guess
was
the
a
character
woman.
is a man. It
Okay.
is. It is a. It's a very.
Okay.
Yeah, you can find photos of her without gunk on her face on the internet where she is distinctive looking. So, but obviously not like completely fucking terrifying like in this movie. I've heard people refer to that as the scariest scene they've seen in a film. How do you respond to that?
I mean, it's one of the scarier scenes in a David Lynch film,
Yeah,
so which makes it kind of scary.
the first time you see it in a movie theater, it's absolutely terrifying. So I guess when you
Hmm.
know it's coming, it's not like it's not quite like the alien popping out of the egg, which happens so suddenly. I can never deal with it. Like I know the
Mm.
weird gnome demon character is coming from behind Winkies, you know? And
Yeah.
then generally the beat when that's gonna happen. So I don't have to like fast forward through the scene like I do the alien popping out of the egg.
I remember it being kind of pretty scary when I saw it in the theater,
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean I don't know. My memory may be fallible from 20 years ago, 24 years ago.
true. Last question. Where is Aunt Ruth?
Dead,
She
maybe.
comes, doesn't she show back up at the apartment in the end right after everyone disappears? So
I
Ruth
think
stays in the dream, maybe?
I thought she was dead in the real version,
Oh,
but
you
then
mean the
like
real version?
just
Okay.
gone, not there in the other version. Like she
Well,
never shows up.
is it her or
Am I
Coco walks
wrong?
in after, I think after Betty and Betty and Rita disappear, I think Aunt Ruth is the one that comes in.
I
Like in
thought
the,
that was
like she's just
hmm.
strolling into the apartment. I mean, I could sit here and check. Actually, the file's right here.
I thought that was like the other lady who turned out to be Adam's mother.
Um,
Hmm.
I have to check that because it's a clue, so we do have to get it right, don't we? Let's see. Uh, checking in. There's a red lampshade. It's got a red lampshade. There's the key. Oh no, 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 she's already strung out at that point. Okay. Okay, I'm almost at this part of the movie, so I'm just kind of seeing who comes in, trying to keep it interesting by vamping. That's what I'm doing. It
Okay.
is okay. She,
I'm reading a dissertation from
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's Aunt Ruth. It's not Coco.
mulhollanddrive.com.
It's not Coco. It's a redhead older lady that walks in. So I think that's Aunt Ruth.
I don't see anything here that says who she's played by. So,
Or it's
oh
just a
wait,
random
maybe.
lady. I don't know. I don't think. I think I'm gonna go with. Anyway, the question here is asking where is Aunt Ruth, and Aunt Ruth is the last person in the dream. If you take most of the movie to be a dream,
Oh
so
yeah, Aunt Ruth does have an actor assigned to her, Maya Bond.
I'm gonna say she got stuck in the dream because she's the last person in the
Sure.
dream.
This is
Everyone
the
else is
only
out by that
thing
point.
she's ever done.
Wow.
Ever.
Okay. Probably maybe a Lynch friend or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean that makes sense. That's how the cowboy showed up again, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you feel? Did the clues feel satisfying? Do you feel like you understand everything now?
No, I don't. I feel more confused than ever now.
Okay. Actually, while talking through them, it did seem a little more useful than when you just read them. So, yeah, I guess you do have to sit down and
Yeah.
talk them out, which maybe is the point of them, right?
I'm not great at um figuring things out this way. I'm you know what I mean? Like I'm not great at studying.
Well, the whole point
So,
was the conversation, though, right? It's
yeah,
I think the clues are supposed to give you a subconscious thing that you have to interact with someone for them to make any sense whatsoever.
they
Maybe.
gave us fodder for a podcast, which on a movie that's good, which is always hard to talk about. It's
Well,
always hard
that's
to
one
talk
of the
about movies
reasons
that
I
are
was
good.
doing it, having a little hook there, which
Yeah.
hopefully was entertaining for people. You can get back to us if that was a horrible mistake or not.
Yes, please, whatever, tell us on whatever social media exists. None of it
Uh,
doesn't exist.
so I mean, this is pretty much a top tenner for me. I think top 20, if not top 10. I'm sitting here thinking if it actually is the best David Lynch. Like I said, the one I feel the need to like kind of get into more is Lost Highway now. But I would still say this is like the better film, I guess, if I'm like putting a rating on it.
I like this better than Lost Highway. It's probably my third favorite Lynch movie. I think my favorite is probably Eraserhead or Blue Velvet, depending on what day it is.
Hmm.
I mean, it's probably Eraserhead, but it's been actually a long time since I've watched Eraserhead. Um,
Yeah, I guess this one has enough glue that even though it's weird, it holds together. I think this is my favorite, although I might just be like the Twin Peaks: The Return is the actually like, but that's not quite a movie. That's a TV show. That's kind of like a movie, a really, really, really long movie.
yeah, and I haven't watched that yet, and I haven't watched Inland Empire yet. So, I have work to do.
Inland
Uh,
Empire is worth watching. Well, one that is one I kind of told you guys, oh, get the Criterion or try to find a file of the Criterion of this one because it's like the color corrected and contrast is fixed. Inland Empire is almost unwatchable in the original DVD because it was shot on early digital video.
yeah,
So the Criterion one from a few years ago makes it more watchable, I think.
or
Although
they like remaster it or something.
I think they tried to upscale it a little bit. Yeah. So it might. I think some people complain about Inland Empire looking a little digitally weird too because of that. But I mean, it was digital to start with. So what do you expect? Like
Yeah.
in the original in particular, like when someone moves, sometimes there'll be a ghosting of their face, like a digital
Hmm.
glitchy ghosting, not like a special effect.
Well,
Like their face doesn't travel with their body quite right.
I mean, interestingly, I don't know if you've seen this before, but I do want to read the letter from David Lynch to projectionists that came with Mulholland Drive.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Please, okay, it's like the big text says projection department, and then in small text it says, I understand this is an unusual request, yet I do need your help. And then in huge text regarding Mulholland Drive, that says 185 aspect ratio Dolby SRD S1 also Dolby SR. And then the text gets huge again and it says, please raise volume 3 decibels hotter than normal. Also, would you also give the picture a small amount of headroom as shown below? And it shows like an illustration of like projecting a little bit lower. He says, thank you very much, your friend David Lynch. And then it's autographed
Hmm.
or signed.
Well, yeah, that's a copy of a signature. No, he signed them all.
Maybe he signed them all.
Yeah, maybe he was real serious about it. Um, but yeah, I'm going film. Of course, there are a ton of
Yeah,
one-star reviews here, so
of
which as
course.
expected. I'm trying to find. There's so many that it's okay. Ed Wood with a budget. This is the worst movie I've seen in a decade. I tend to like so-called art films and don't have any need for all the loose ends in a movie to be neatly tied up. This movie has more loose ends than Davy Crockett's jacket. Okay, that's interesting. I have to admit it was creative, but so were the words of my college roommate when he was tripping on LSD. He too was creative, but he was neither lucid or entertaining. I still don't know what this movie or the LSD trip was about. The direction was horrible. It looks like the experimentation of a sophomore film student in college. The script makes no sense. The acting, except for Naomi Watts, is horrid. I wasn't a fan of David Lynch before this movie. Now I am all but certain I will never waste time with a David Lynch movie again. That turkey of a writer-director owes me 2 hours of my life. 2.5, really.
Hmm. I almost read one, but it said 2 stars at the end of it, so it's not
Nope.
disqualified.
Yep, disqualified.
Um,
There's this.
okay, here we go.
Okay.
Tylenol should not be needed after a movie. What a pile of pretentious bull. This movie made no freaking sense whatsoever. Before making the comment that I am just some yokel who wants to see Tom Green give elephants pleasure, which I did find funny, realized that I own a copy of Memento on DVD, which was a much better plot and a much more interesting concept, and I also own The Cell, which is much more visually appealing than this pant load. The only solace I take from this movie is it was an aborted TV pilot, so I now do not have to worry about flipping the channels and seeing any of this pile of garbage. I have what people like to call an open mind towards movies, as I established with Freddy Got Fingered and Memento. But this was just 2.5 hours of my life that I want back, and I waste my life. 253 find it helpful and 151 found it unhelpful.
A lot of people want their 2 hours
I,
back. Okay.
I just think it's so funny when people just have to do a callback to something they wrote like 2 sentences ago.
This is one I'm not going to read the whole thing for because it's too long, but the title's great. More crap for people who love crap. I like that. That's fun.
It is always good.
I mean, this is one where we could sit here all day and go through the ones. Yeah, they're still going. They go on forever. I hated it. I loved it. I wish I would have never wasted my time watching it. I'm going to sit in a corner and watch it over and over until my existence comes to an end. The greatest movie ever. The worst piece of shit I have ever seen. You figure it out.
3 words. Worst movie ever. Some of you who are reading these user comments may have read that this movie can be compared to Memento. That is simply not correct. Memento is a great film that should have won Academy Awards for Screenplay and Best Picture this year. This movie is a complete pile of horse dung. It has absolutely no point to it and left me with a headache trying to figure out a possible point. There are numerous subplots that are never elaborated on. Example, the cowboy. What was his deal? I wouldn't know because he was in and out with no conclusion to his story. The homeless person comes into the movie all of a sudden and then again towards the end with a mysterious blue box. But yet, just when I thought that would open up my eyes to some hidden brilliant meaning that I was simply missing, it went nowhere. One more example. Who were the two guys that forced the director to pick Camilla as the actress? Why did they want Camilla? Oh, that's right. They never say why. Why should they? This movie never says why it does anything. I rented it knowing that I would hate it. I've always hated David Lynch movies. Blue Velvet and Lost Highway were also horseshit, but they're friggin' masterpieces compared to this. Now I like intellectual Now I like intellectual movies. My favorite movie isn't Major League Back to the Minors or anything, but this movie makes no goddamn sense. Wait, I think I said that wrong. Now I like intellectual movies, but that was just framed as one sentence.
Oh, okay. Excuse me.
So it looked
Excuse
like
you.
now I like intellectual movies.
Yeah.
It should have been a comma after it.
No, right. Okay. Okay. Yeah. You want to do this accurately, of course. But yeah, I guess it's interesting. Memento. We just did it, right? It's on the
Well, it's
good list, but
coming out later, so I was trying to not
true.
say that.
Well,
but
you can.
but I was just like threading some Memento seeds for
No, that's cool. I just well, spoiler then. I don't think Memento's in the same league as this movie, but
none of us like. I'll just go ahead and speak for Luke that he didn't like Memento better than this.
yeah, I think you would have to ask him. But yeah, that sounds possibly accurate. Possibly.
He he can he can write into the podcast and tell me if I'm wrong.
Um, I guess we can wind down this podcast unless you just got something in your craw for this.
I love David Lynch. I wish we could do all of his films, even Dune. Well, you can listen to Dune on Sci-Fi Sanctuary just by scrolling really far down this podcast. But um, yeah, I mean, RIP to a real artist, and I hope that I can't think of anybody else of his magnitude who's like alive. So I don't know who else we could lose like this. And probably shouldn't say that because I'll okay, yeah, I don't want to lose John Waters.
Okay, that was
But
the thought going through my head, probably
yeah,
because I already mentioned him in conjunction with David Lynch. And to be fair, I
but
don't think they're similar at all, but they just seem to
no.
have a similar, I guess, artistic authenticity.
Yeah, they just sort of both do what they want and they both have I don't know, you could probably take performances from both of their work and compare them, but yeah,
Well, that's
different.
that's
John Waters is Detroit, David Lynch is California.
yeah, I guess so. Um, or Philadelphia if you're watching Eraserhead.
Yep.
Okay,
But
well, you're digging this one. We're Films and Filth. Go give us a groovy review and rating on your podcatcher. You'll find all our podcasts over at podcastiopodcastius.org. And under Podcastio Podcastius, we also have a Patreon if you want early episodes with extra jibber jabber.
and as a late addendum, I did find almost immediately a video of John Waters talking about how he loves David Lynch on the
Sure.
Criterion closet. So there's at least, you know, some love there. But hey, John Waters has a movie coming out, so let's hope that happens
Right.
because We need more art, bro.
Okay.
I don't know what
Well,
that means.
if you did good, you'll listen to us one more time. If you did bad, you'll listen to us two more times. That's not a good
Okay.
ad for us,
I
but
can't compete. I can't compete with that.
okay, I guess I'll go ahead and stop this guy then. Buys to the Patreon folks and so on forth.